What is going on, everyone? My name's Boyd, and I'm back with some more Age of Mythology, the Titans action, spawning in the red color, playing as Zeus. His name is Eric. His opponent today in the blue color, playing as Odin. His name is Brickhead. The map is Frozen Wastes. And this is game number 3 of this best of 5 series between the Challengers, or for the Challengers League, between these two incredibly strong players, thus far being an incredibly entertaining series. We'll see if it continues here as Brickhead taking that loss in the last game with his Loki on Calm Shores. Moving into game number 3 onto Frozen Waste, choosing to play yet another of the 3 Norse gods. Brickhead pretending as if the game rules, the tournament rules, you can't pick the same god twice, even though he's playing against Zeus 3 times in a row. We'll see how it's going to go. Odin on this map, an interesting decision. Why? Because Eric can pull out the Hermes against Odin, whereas against Loki and against Thor, you gotta feel a little bit worried about the Hermes against those gods. And on top of that, this is Frozen Waste, and it's a much more open map. So we'll see if Eric wants to go into his his favorite type of unit, the Centaur, in this game, or not. So villagers moving through here, gonna start eating their walrus, doing all the good stuff. We'll see how it all goes, how it's all going to end up shaping up. In the middle of the map, we do see the Fetters of Fenrir here. Over on the right side of the map, there is also the Toothed Arrows, both relatively decent relics to pick up. One being that you can one-hit these walrus, give yourself a slight boost in terms of hunt-gather rate efficiency. Very, very slight, but it's a boost nonetheless. And the other relic with the boost to your archer damage, your projectiles. Very useful. So we'll see if those get found and get picked up. We are seeing this Katoskopos of Eric scouting around, trying to find all of the herdables, but he is kind of walking through a track that I think Brickhead has already scouted out. And Brickhead has found himself already 7 herdables for his main base. As Eric, he's going to have the advantage of having a scout, whereas the Odin has to decide whether or not to have a scout effectively, as you have to decide whether to get the Ulfsark or not to pick up all the herdables. Generally speaking, on a map like this against Zeus, I would recommend getting yourself 2 Ulfsarks here as Norse. This is a play that I would normally do, get all of the herdables, because I know that I'm basically going to be sitting in my base and having the difference between winning and losing a game could be the difference between 2 or 4 different goats, like having that many more goats than if you had like 12 goats here. Brickhead would be feeling very, very happy about sitting in his main base with those 8 goats, feeling a little bit like, I can't build too many food units, otherwise I won't be able to get to the heroic age. As we see Athena coming through for Eric for the 3rd time here. Not shaking it up, not showing the Hermes. Hermes is technically, while I said, yes, Hermes can be done with some efficiency against Odin, technically speaking, at the upper echelons of Odin players started getting really, really aggressive in this matchup early because of Hermes. Which means that the Hermes is too slow and they end up, and Hermes players ended up losing games just simply to aggressive Norse players. So Hermes may have just fallen out of favor within Eric just because he realizes that he can't decide. He's not the one who gets to decide whether the Odin player is aggressive or not. In this, and he can't really work that one out unless he sees a forward temple. And knowing that there's a forward temple or not, he has to see in the main base, and he just doesn't know. So he's playing it a little bit more safe, going through Athena. 4:30 advance time, like in the last game. Not doing any fast advance times here. Always going a little bit slower. We do see the military academy coming up here as well for Eric, as the villagers coming over here onto the Walrus. We see the Valkyrie coming through as well. As the Valkyrie immediately getting bolted, and Eric, he's still doing the dance here. And Brickhead is getting a lot of idle time here on those villages. In terms of resources lost, I think that was around about 20 seconds. 5 villages, 20 seconds. You're looking at around about 60 resources lost there. Is that how math works? I don't think it is. Maybe it is. Maybe it's not. That's my guess. 5 villages, 20 seconds. Maybe it's more like 100 resources, actually. Jeepers. That's like 100 resources. That's Brickhead retreating back now. He's going to be losing this Hersar, unfortunately, as he's not paying attention there. Keeps it alive with 10 HP. He is Odin, so we'll be able to be healed back up here in this game. Just from that natural stuff, as we are seeing raiding cavalry coming out yet again. This is what Brickhead did with his Thor, but now going in with the, obviously with the Odin instead. We'll see how it's going to go as the unit's starting to move forward. We see yet again, Eric is just saying double military academy. It's almost as if Eric knows what Brickhead is doing before Brickhead does it. And this is metagaming to the nth degree, if you ask me, because if Brickhead has any inkling that the double military academy is coming, he can simply just put a ton more villages onto wood and make Throw and Axeman out straight away and have a really, really nice early game of Hersar, Throw and Axeman against these hoplites. But he doesn't have that inkling, and he's having some difficulty with these fights as the raiding cavalry swinging around, going to be looking to take out some villages here as the hoplites do return back to try and defend, but the raiding cavalry come around the side. There's one really low HP villager there. Does Brickhead see it? He must have seen it, but he doesn't get that attack off as the hoplites do defend that one nicely. As the villagers for the time being moving back into the berry bushes at home. Brickhead, he still hasn't started his Throw and Axeman up just yet. He's got to make a decision about doing that at some point here. There's husbandry coming through for Brickhead, preparing for his goat transition to some degree. So raiding cavalry on the large gold mine here as well. I will rectify what I was saying. I was not accusing anyone of anything. I'm saying this is metagaming, which is completely viable, completely fair way to play Age of Mythology, and you should be doing it in tournament play. What I was saying is that Eric has done his research into how Brickhead plays, and Brickhead has not made any adaptation thus far with the early game here. Just trying to make use of his raiding cavalry as best as he can. I feel like sometimes words can be twisted in a way that they weren't meant to be interpreted. Let me jump in there before you guys go crazy. As Brickhead looks like he's actually stopped all production here. This is dangerous. We've seen that Eric, he knows the timing to some degree to put the pressure on to a Norse player. He's got 17 hoplites already out, so he can very, very simply run in. We do see a Toxotes searching around, making sure that nothing is being attacked over here. And Eric now, he's got himself the Walrus. Units starting to push forward. There's an armory coming up for Brickhead. We saw this not work in game number 1. Will it work in game number 3 is the big question as the raiding cavalry attacking the temple, trying to distract Eric as much as he can, making sure that those raiding cavalry are doing something. So raiding cavalry retreat away. Brickhead at this point, he still doesn't have the resources to advance. He's looking to be going for around about a 10-minute advance time as the hoplites, Eric's at 95 population here. As Brickhead now, if he cancels these villages and dumps all of his resources, he will be able to advance. And this is the scary part, is how well can Eric realize what's going on here? And we see the heroic gauge coming in. We see the score drop over here. This is we haven't actually seen it just yet, but the score drop comes in, and look at Brickhead's score drop from 973 down to 846. If you're watching that score at any point and you realize it, you will know your opponent is going to the Heroic Age as we see the Pegasus flying through here. Scout. I love that play from Eric. He confirms exactly what's coming for him. The question is, can he get in onto the town center fast enough or not? 40% of the way through. Brickhead needs to start production. He needs tons of villagers on wood here to get his throwing axeman out. This is as greedy as it gets from Brickhead. He's also getting himself medium infantry out, but Eric, he hasn't clicked onto the town center just yet. There is 30% remaining on this town center. That is something like 18 seconds. So I don't think the town center is going to be going down here as Brickhead moves forward. We will see the watchtower getting taken down. The villagers retreating away for the time being. Lots of idle time now caused by Eric just with the presence here, not going after the town center. There's the Heroic Age for Brickhead. He will get himself the Frost Giant. And he manages to make his way to that Heroic Age for the time being, but he does lose his temple there, which will slow down any sort of Frost Giant production. As you do see the units coming through for Eric on the top side of the map, as well as the dwarves. They can't sit over there anymore as the army is in, causing problems. Brickhead got what he want with the Heroic Age. He got his Frost Giant out, but he needs to get himself a gold mine now. There is still restoration for Eric. Eric looks like he's planning to go to the Heroic Age himself here. I don't see an armory just yet, but he can throw that down at any point. He's got himself 3 military buildings only. So he's not planning to stick around in the classical age, I don't think, even if he loses his units. Otherwise, he'd have some more military buildings down, you'd have to assume. As the dwarves are pulled back into the main base. And now Brickhead going to move back out onto that gold mine there. And I like the play from Eric. He's split up his army nicely, trying to ensure that no value frosts can come through. The hoplites here, taking out the armor and everything else. How many hoplites here? He's got 10 hoplites and a Minotaur as he goes after that town center, obviously trying to force a frost here. The villagers need to be garrisoning. Brickhead at this point needs to pull his army over here and start defending on this position as well. It's now the raiding cavalry coming in, getting a little bit of damage done here. As it looks like Brickhead is long distance mining here, needs to move his gold mine up onto the other position, trying to get himself up to full population as the villagers still getting pushed around. These wood lines are difficult to deal with here on this map, relatively far away from that town center, and there's no way to defend them with walls or anything. So the army just moves around really, really nicely, as we are now seeing Eric pushing in onto this position. Is also going Dionysus here. As I love the split play here with those hoplites. But Brickhead now, he's got his gold mine. Next step needs to be to get himself a hill fort. Eric going Heroic Age. He will be able to get himself the... what's it called? He will be able to get himself a Paspist to deal with those potential Huskar that are coming for him, as now Brickhead can drop himself the hill fort, and indeed does do so. The main base of Brickhead is quite open here, and Eric is continuing to push through. Check out what's happening. The town center is at 1600 HP. Houses getting torn down here as well. So Jason looks like it's going to get sniped down, but houses going down for a Jason. Not the worst thing in the world. As the hill fort just about up, Eric spots that and says, all right, I can't take that one down just yet. Raiding cavalry coming over here to try and defend here as the market getting taken down. That's a lot of resources lost. 240 resources might not seem like a lot, but at this point here, Brickhead is very much struggling for every little bit of everything. We see another town center coming up here for Brickhead as well, as he has managed to effectively stabilize here, you'd have to assume. But Eric on the other side here is getting himself that market up. But pushing through a hill fort and a town center, even with lightning storm, it's not really possible because the units just garrison. So it's got to be a little bit careful as the raiding cavalry raids will start back up. But it looks like at this point, the majority of the food has been eaten on the map. Eric's back into his main base, eating all of the herdables he has managed to find. And the raiders here at Brickhead, they've only got two options, gold mine or gold mine. So Raven does show Brickhead where to go. But I mean, if you see only 6 villages on this gold, you know that there's villages on the other gold. You can make that kind of assumption as well. As the temple coming up, Hera is on the way now for Eric. And Brickhead, he's got to have that inkling in the back of his mind now. Brickhead is fallen behind in score. That score drop means a lot. As the Hearser pushing him, there is this Frost Giant ready to be taken out. A Hydra here. I'm surprised to see Eric not sending the Hydra over and killing those Caribou and just having a four-headed Hydra though against Skadi. A Skadi user with the Frost Giant. Hydras are a little bit less useful because they can get one-banged to some degree. That's the temple getting taken out here. Villagers trying to repair it back up. It looks like it's being kept alive for that Medusa. I mean, Eric, he can just get another temple up, and he does decide to do just that. So the army still pushing forward. We are now starting to see some of those Hapaspists coming into the army for Eric. His army is so big here, and we see the Frost getting utilized finally as the army trying to circle in. Hera coming through. So in a way, army trade for army trade, but I think Eric's got Restoration. Eric's got Lightning Storm. This is going to go the wayside of Eric here in terms of value. But even if Eric picks off all of these units here, it's not going to be game over for Brickhead. Though it's a big, big resource loss that's going to be coming. As at least Brickhead gets a little bit of value here. As the Lightning Storm will hit immediately onto this position. As Brickhead kind of needs to just retreat away. Well, he's just going to stay in here, get as much DPS done as he can. As the Lightning Storm cleans up every one of those throwing axemen. And Brickhead decides in that moment to retreat away, leaving the army there. Brickhead drops down to 89 population. Huntress Axe is coming through. We'll turn around and get a little bit of damage done onto this position as well. There is still a restoration here as the Medusa comes in. Bit of a miscontrol from Eric with that Medusa. Probably could have killed off the Frost Giant. See the army retreating away. And Brickhead throwing down another hill fort to try and keep himself alive on this position. Making Huskar, making Jarls, Frost Giants, all the good things here. Now that basically all the timings are done for... Actually, no, there's still a bronze, right? There is still bronze and restoration. So Brickhead's in for a very, very difficult hold here. As he's making the throwing axeman out. Double hill fort, fortified town centers. Masons wouldn't go astray here either. As the villagers coming over onto this town center to grab that one as well. As the temple getting taken down on this position. As the army slowly marching forward here for Eric. He's got so many units. 41 villagers only here at 16 minutes into the game off of one town center. He will be getting that second town center, but this is just so many units for Eric. As opposed to Brickhead, who's obviously has got a decent amount of throwing axe in here, but he's got a lot more villagers. And the double hill fort, fortified town center, looks like it's too much for Eric to deal with at this point. Brickhead has held for the time being here. There's another hill fort coming up, but this hill fort here, while it does defend the town center, the problem is going to be the next gold mine. And Eric, he's got that inkling in the back of his head. He's got the hoplites over here checking this one out. He's got the army over here checking this one out. And Eric here is going to try and break through the hill fort on this position. This Brickhead getting slowly but surely closer and closer to being able to have 140 population and defend here. But the hill fort gets torn down very, very fast there. And he doesn't even lose anything, it seems. Maybe one unit was fallen there. One unit... That kind of makes sense. One unit fell there. Copper shields coming through as well for Brickhead. As Brickhead, he needs to get this gold mine. This is the hard part. He needs to sneak through and put hill forts down here. 1, 2. Defend. Eric repositioning his army, going to be looking to push through here. The army is already in position for Brickhead. Brickhead, at this point, needs a lot more military buildings up. He's actually stopped production as well. 127 pop. Going for a Ragnarok here might work. Might work. We'll have to wait and see as the gold mine is going to be finishing up. Brickhead can sell all of that wood if he wants to, as he buys a lot of food there. Does have a handful of farms. As the army is pushing forward, Brickhead looks like he's trying to be a little bit too cute with it at this moment. Finishes up on the gold mine. He's no longer producing units here, it seems. So the hill fort will stay alive for the time being. Throwing axeman getting some good damage done. The villagers, all idols, are going to move over onto that gold mine and try and get onto that for as long as they can. As we see bronze and restoration coming through. Brickhead going to be retreating away here. Brickhead now able to advance to the Mythic Age. He's going up through Balder. You can garrison into the tower to stay away from that DPS. Not the tower, the town center. To stay away from that DPS with the Throwing Axe. I don't think you can garrison with the Jarls. I never can remember what can garrison and what can't, but the timing pushes come through. The hoplites are going to be able to tear down this fortified town. There's still no masons through for Brickhead. It wouldn't be a bad idea to try and make that happen here. It's the army of Brickhead. He needs to get those units back out. A temple coming up as well to give himself that fire giant. And the big question is, will a Ragnarok, a 66 villager Ragnarok at this point, be able to kill a Greek player at this point who's got himself heavy infantry already? Brickhead's doing a nice job of just dancing back and forth, making sure that the army needs to be a little bit careful here. Town Center and Hillfort doing a lot of damage as well. Balder 60% of the way through as the Throwing Axeman getting a little bit too close to the fighting here. And it will look like Brickhead is going to lose his Town Center for the time being. Going back to his main base here, still trying to make those Throwing Axemen out. Town Center ends up falling. And Eric, he needs to know what's coming for him. We see a Frost Giant popping out here. Immediately getting sniped down by that Medusa. The Medusa has gotten so much value in this game thus far. It's picked off so many units with that special. As the Hillfort going down, the villagers of Brickhead already starting to march forward here. As Brickhead, he's like, I don't really have another option after all is said and done. And he's not wrong. As there's the Balder. And the Ragnarok will come through forward. 250 population Ragnarok. Copper weapons also on the way as this town center is coming through. The Hersa, not Hersa, but the Heroes of Ragnarok coming through onto this position. Going to be looking for something to take out. We do see the villagers retreating away. As the hoplites getting cleaned up. As the villagers are going to get pushed off of that gold mine immediately here. Military academies coming up all across the place as the army of Eric has to pull back. Brickhead's got no resources in the bank, so this is an all-in Ragnarok as the Rag Heroes bash into this town center over here. Eric has got no upgrades, getting himself the watchtowers. He's got himself some military academies here, getting himself that Bellerophon to try and deal with the Fire Giant. Can be the most difficult thing to deal with as the army gets kind of caught out on this choke point here as well. Town center here getting repaired back up pretty quickly, but it's still going to be going down to all of these Heroes of Ragnarok. The villagers need to be targeted as well as all the villagers have been pushed off the gold. We do see these villagers over here. 6 villagers on this hunt. Very sneaky here from Eric, and it might keep him alive in this game. Every little bit of gold income after all is said and done is a huge help as the Bellerophon flying in. It's a little bit of damage, retreats back. We see Myrmidon, Hypaspist, Hoplites, Toxotes for Eric versus all of the wave of the Ragnarok heroes coming in to try and deal with this. As the Bellerophon flies in. Nice movement there from Brickhead to dodge the special ability. Villagers going down on this position very, very fast as Eric not putting them into a safe position for the time being as the army of Brickhead still sitting in onto this position. The Bellerophon coming back in. We do see the Heroes of Ragnarok targeting that one down immediately there as the villagers falling. 33 villagers remaining. Brickhead still sitting at 200 population here as the Heroes of Ragnarok still slowly taking the Bellerophon down. And in that moment, after it's all said and done, after Eric plays around so much of what Odin can do, it ends up being that Ragnarok still claims another victim. Brickhead. He made it hard for himself. I'm not going to lie. The refusal to identify double military academy and build throwing axemen early. The greedy semi-fast heroic, which I don't think works anymore if the Zeus player can kind of feel it coming, and you can see it coming by exactly how many military units your opponent sees. That's why that Pegasus going forward was so good, but Eric just decided not to right-click on the town center. If he just clicked on it, he would have killed it. He would have been in a really good position. But because of all of that, Brickhead manages to claim the victory here, going up 2-1 in this best of 5 series. Really well played in the end by Brickhead. He played around it, played into his strengths here, and he managed to find a victory. If you guys enjoyed it, please consider hitting the follow on the Twitch. If you're on the YouTube, hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you guys in the next game.